Ladies and gentlemen, when the fat man with the derby hat and the tall, thin man with the sad face first came on the screen together, that was way back in 1926.
Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy are remembered as one of the greatest comedy duos in film history, their on-screen chemistry lighting up audiences for decades. Yet, when Oliver Hardy passed away, Stan's absence from the funeral left many shocked and curious. How could a lifelong partner and friend not be there to say goodbye? What many don't realize is that Laurel's decision was shaped by deep grief and respect, rather than distance or discord. Could the pain of loss sometimes be too heavy to bear, even for the closest of friends? The shock of absence. When Oliver Hardy passed away in 1957, many expected Stan Laurel to stand by his side one last time. After all, the two had been inseparable partners for more than 3 decades, iconic on-screen and close friends off it. But instead of attending the funeral, Stan was noticeably absent, a decision that puzzled fans and sparked numerous rumors. How could someone so connected to Oliver choose not to be there for his final goodbye? This unexpected absence planted questions that lingered for years, fueling speculation about their relationship and what might have driven such a choice. The public struggled to understand Stan's decision, as the pair were famously attached professionally and personally. Fans wondered whether there was tension behind the scenes or if their friendship had fractured in Oliver's last days. Some even questioned if health issues or distance had played a role. But the truth was far more complicated and rooted deeply in emotions beyond what the public saw. Stan's absence was not a result of estrangement, but a reflection of profound sorrow and respect, in an intensely private way. Stan's choice highlighted a side of grief rarely discussed openly, how sometimes the pain of loss can be so overwhelming that you simply cannot face certain moments. For him, attending the funeral wasn't just about paying respects. It meant confronting the reality of losing a lifelong companion and creative partner. This emotional weight grew heavier than anyone outside of their closest circle could fully grasp. His absence, rather than being cold or uncaring, was in many ways a testament to a bond that ran far deeper than professional camaraderie. Adding to the mystery was Stan's conscious effort to avoid public scrutiny. He was aware how the media could twist narratives and that his attendance or lack thereof might overshadow the solemn occasion. Instead of fueling speculation or distracting from the tribute to Oliver, Stan chose silence and a distance. Those close to him understood this as a deliberate act to preserve the dignity of the moment and honor the memory of his friend on his own terms. The public still questions whether Stan's absence destroyed their partnership's memory. The reasons behind this situation show that people experience grief in ways that differ from what society expects. The situation requires us to examine the hidden difficulties people face when they experience the death of someone who served as their partner in both work and personal life. The story examines how friendship creates lasting effects because it exceptionalizes physical absence. Stan eventually shared glimpses of this grief through letters and interviews, revealing a man lost without his comedic counterpart. His words conveyed an intense sense of emptiness which extended beyond his performance work. But he never fully explained why he stayed away from the funeral, leaving that moment wrapped in respectful silence and personal pain. Their complete friendship history will show us all the main elements of their relationship. It's in this light that their partnership begins, not just as a comedy act, but as a meeting of two very different souls destined to become inseparable. Laurel and Hardy's bond. Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy were more than just partners in slapstick comedy. They were lifelong friends whose connection transcended the camera. Although often cast as contrasting characters, the thin, innocent Englishman and the larger, pompous American, their real-life relationship was rooted in mutual respect and genuine affection. This bond gave their performances an authenticity that still resonates decades later. Their friendship became the foundation for some of the most memorable moments in film history. Behind the scenes, their personalities complemented each other remarkably well. Stan was known to be thoughtful, gentle, and introspective, while Oliver balanced this with warmth and a sometimes gruff but caring demeanor. Together, they shared a language beyond words, understanding each other's rhythms and moods perfectly. This closeness grew from years spent working, touring, and living through life's ups and downs side by side. Their partnership was described as both professional and deeply personal. They celebrated each other's successes and consoled each other during hardships. Over 30 years, their shared experiences forged a bond often compared to family. This emotional intimacy made their eventual separation through death all the more devastating for Stan, adding layers of sorrow to his farewell to Oliver. Stan used the name Babe to address Oliver because the nickname showed his deep affection for Oliver. The two actors maintained a friendship that did not involve competition or envy, because most people in their industry work against each other. Their mutual love for each other enabled them to overcome the difficulties that came with their fame and health problems and the evolving entertainment industry. The couple decided to spend their later life together in privacy because their bond mattered more to them than their need to show themselves to the world. The authentic friendship between the two men proved to be their most important success factor, according to both fans and historians. Their relationship to the audience existed as a genuine partnership, which differed from the typical artificial partnerships between actors. The people in this relationship continued to stay connected through their professional commitments because they shared meals and practiced together and talked about various topics. Their strong bond allowed them to connect as humans while they showed their characters through their performances. The friendship between Oliver and Stan created a deep emotional connection, which caused Stan to grieve Oliver's death with intense sorrow. The loss which Stan experienced led him to demonstrate different ways of behavior. Their meeting and early days at Hal Roach Studios would set the stage not just for comic success, but for a lifelong partnership built on trust and shared dreams. Beginnings at Hal Roach Studios. The official pairing of Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy traces back to the mid-1920s when both were signed by Hal Roach Studios, a comedy powerhouse in Hollywood. While they appeared together earlier in films like The Lucky Dog in 1921, it was their time at Roach Studios that truly forged their iconic collaboration. The studio's focus on comedy provided the perfect environment for their talents to merge and flourish. This period marked the birth of a duo who would go on to define an era of slapstick humor and heartfelt storytelling. Stan Laurel, born in England, brought a unique blend of innocence and physical comedy that contrasted perfectly with Oliver Hardy's larger-than-life, pompous American persona. Director Leo McCarey, recognizing this potential, paired them deliberately, creating a dynamic of the naive but kind-hearted Stan and the frustrated, proud Ollie. Their first official film together as a duo was the silent short Putting Pants on Philip in 1927, which showcased their contrasting characters and comic timing. Between 1927 and 1929, Laurel and Hardy made a string of silent shorts that quickly gained popularity. Films such as Do Detectives Think and The Battle of the Century, famous for its epic pie fight, established many of the gags and dynamics they would later refine in talking pictures. This era honed their abilities and allowed them to develop personas that audiences found irresistible. They became masters of visual humor and timing, The late 1920s also ushered in the transition from silent films to talkies, which created difficulties for many actors who worked during that time. Laurel and Hardy adapted smoothly because their voices matched each other while their comedy relied on spoken dialogue. Their first talkie, Unaccustomed as We Are, in 1929, demonstrated their skill in blending verbal wit with physical humor. Their new phase began when they developed their unique dialogue patterns, which audience members worldwide found appealing. Hal Roach Studios played a crucial role in nurturing their partnership because it provided creative support and created a collaborative workspace, which allowed both stars to succeed. The space provided complete understanding of their abilities, which enabled them to take risks while developing their skills. The connection they built during these formative years became a critical element, which helped their friendship develop into a permanent bond, which proved vital for their lasting success in Hollywood. Their comedy evolved from simple slapstick to more nuanced characters with complex emotional interplay, which only a few male duos had achieved before. Their most famous works, which earned them worldwide recognition, started during this initial stage of their career. The performers transformed into more than just comedians because audiences developed a strong affection for their roles in stories. The initial stage of their partnership created the foundation for their enduring friendship, which lasted throughout their entire lives. The process of developing characters over several years required them to spend extensive time together while they worked on creative projects and supported each other through difficult personal times. Their roots at Hal Roach Studios created professional ties, which became the foundation for their true friendship. The depth of their bond and beginnings planted a seed that grew into one of the most enduring stories of friendship and sorrow in entertainment history. The rise to stardom. Laurel and Hardy's rise to stardom was swift and remarkable, capturing the hearts of audiences around the world. After establishing their comedic rhythm with silent shorts, they successfully transitioned into the talkie era, a feat that many silent film stars struggled to achieve. Their first sound film, Unaccustomed as We Are, released in 1929, showcased their seamless blend of physical comedy and witty dialogue, setting the tone for what audiences would come to expect. From there, their popularity only grew, fueled by their perfect timing and the timeless appeal of their contrasting personas. Throughout the 1930s, the duo produced several feature-length films that became classics. Titles like Pardon Us in 1931, which hilariously details their misadventures in prison, and Sons of the Desert in 1933, where they attempt to deceive their wives to attend a lodge convention, highlighted their knack for storytelling and character-driven comedy. These films not only demonstrated their growing chemistry, but also reinforced their ability to create humor rooted in everyday situations that felt relatable and authentic. One of their most memorable films, Way Out West, released in 1937, is still celebrated today for its blend of comedy and charm. Featuring the iconic dance scene to At the Ball, That's All, it captured the best of their physical comedy and warm character interactions. Such moments elevated their status beyond mere entertainers to beloved cultural icons. Their consistent ability to combine slapstick with human vulnerability made their work resonate widely. Their films during this period were characterized by signature catchphrases and running gags that audiences eagerly anticipated. Lines like, "Well, here's another nice mess you've gotten me into," became part of popular culture, illustrating how their work left lasting impressions well beyond the cinema. This level of engagement turned casual moviegoers into devoted fans, cementing their place in the entertainment world. The duo stayed humble through their successful screen performances because they focused on their work, which involved testing various timings and scenarios to develop their comedic technique. They created a new type of comedy that combined comedy with emotional moments which had not existed before their time. The duo realized that their characters needed to be both humorous and charming to maintain audience interest throughout multiple decades of viewing. Laurel and Hardy became popular with international viewers who helped their fame spread beyond national borders. The comedy in their films becomes understandable for audiences who do not speak English because it includes visual jokes and emotional content. Their 1940s and 1950s tours, which included multiple performances throughout the United Kingdom and Europe, provided them with opportunities to meet their audience while proving their ability to perform different roles beyond their movie parts. They exited Hal Roach Studios in the late 1930s after working there to elevate their professional development through different production companies. The duo maintained their loyal fan base because most critics believed their best work had already finished at this point. The production of their 1951 movie, A Tall K, faced multiple difficulties because of Stan's worsening health, yet it still represented their lasting impact on the film industry. The story of their rise to fame describes their achievement in comedy, plus their development of an extraordinary partnership. The closeness they shared both on and off screen helped shape not only their acts, but their lives in profound ways. Life on and off stage. Off camera, Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy maintained a close, supportive friendship that extended far beyond their public personas. Their personalities complemented one another, with Stan bringing a gentle, sometimes shy innocence to the partnership, while Oliver's affable, sometimes grumpy spirit balanced it out. This dynamic created a nurturing environment where both men felt understood and valued, despite the stresses of show business. They shared a mutual respect that was evident in how they worked together. Neither overshadowed the other. Instead, they played to their strengths, creating an equal partnership rare for its era. Their collaboration was more than just scripted lines and rehearsed gags. It was a true creative dialogue that flourished over decades. This respect spilled over into their personal lives, where they supported each other through health challenges and career setbacks. Their touring years in the 1940s and 1950s helped reveal another side of their relationship. On stage, they adapted their performances to live audiences, which demanded a different kind of energy and connection. The tours were hugely successful and allowed them to interact with fans beyond film screens. They both cherished these moments, as living, breathing reactions reminded them of the impact their work had worldwide. Despite their success, they both faced health and personal difficulties as they aged. Oliver struggled with his weight and related ailments, which worsened over time, while Stan dealt with his own health concerns. Still, they remained companions through these hardships, often comforting one another behind the scene. Their ongoing friendship helped them endure the pressures and uncertainties that came with aging in the public eye. Their personalities off-stage were less about bravado and more about warmth and kindness. Stan was known to be introspective and kind-hearted, often taking a quieter approach to life, whereas Oliver was more outspoken and humorous in everyday interactions. Together, they balanced each other, forming a friendship that was as authentic as their on-screen characters were exaggerated. The professionalism they maintained off-camera did not diminish the genuine affection between them. Friends and colleagues noted the ease and loyalty they demonstrated, even years after their peak fame. This loyalty would become critical as Oliver's health declined, with Stan stepping back from the limelight to provide care and companionship. Their bond never relied solely on their public image. It was rooted deeply in personal connection. Their ongoing interaction extended into their creative process as well. They often exchanged ideas, tried out new gags, and supported each other's comedic instincts. Neither saw themselves as the star without the other, underscoring how intertwined their identities had become. This partnership was a rare example of true collaboration where friendship and artistry were inseparable. This profound partnership was tested by the realities of aging and health struggles, but remained unbroken in spirit. Their private support for each other contrasts sharply with the public assumption that Laurel's absence at Oliver's funeral indicated distance or discord. Instead, it reveals a relationship defined by deep empathy and shared vulnerability. The challenges of aging brought an undeniable weight to their lives, setting a somber tone for the final chapters of their story. Hardy's declining health. As the years progressed into the late 1940s and early 1950s, Oliver Hardy's health began to significantly decline, casting a shadow over the once vibrant comedic partnership. Having faced lifelong struggles with his weight, Hardy's physical condition complicated many aspects of his life and career. His fluctuating weight, combined with other ailments, gradually took a toll on his mobility and energy, making it increasingly difficult to maintain their demanding schedule of films and stage appearances. The physical challenges Hardy endured were not only personal, but also professional setbacks for the duo. In 1951, their final film, Atoll K, was marked by numerous difficulties, including Hardy's deteriorating health and Laurel's challenges as well. The production was troubled and stressful, frustrating the creative process and leaving the pair far from their best. Following this, the duo did not make another film together. This marked a quiet and somber end to a prolific era in their careers, as health concerns swelled beyond the focus of comedy and spotlight. By 1954, Oliver Hardy suffered a severe stroke, a turning point that irrevocably altered his life. The stroke impaired his speech and mobility, effectively ending his ability to perform publicly or work in films and television. This development was devastating both for Hardy himself and for Stan Laurel, who had long relied on his partner's comedic timing and presence. The stroke underscored the fragility of health and the inevitable passage of time, even for celebrated stars. After his stroke, Hardy's condition continued to worsen. He experienced noticeable weight loss, a sharp contrast to the stout figure audiences had come to associate with his character. This physical change alarmed fans and friends alike, as it revealed the severity of his illness. His decline was steady and visible, prompting concern and sympathy throughout the entertainment community. The difficult times showed that Stan Laurel remained a loyal friend who took care of his friend. Laurel stayed with Hardy during his time of need, despite struggling with his own health problems. The friendship faced its most difficult test during the last years, when both friends had to deal with the approaching threat of death. Laurel showed his dedication to Hardy through his work as an actor and his personal commitment, which lasted until his death. In 1957, Hardy suffered 2 massive strokes in quick succession. The existing health problems led to his body breaking down until he reached a point when doctors declared him beyond medical help. Oliver Hardy passed away on August 7, 1957, at 65 years old, which created a permanent gap throughout the world of comedy, and especially for Stan Laurel. The death marked the closing of a major chapter in entertainment history, stirring public mourning alongside private heartache. Hardy's death created deep sadness, which prevented any future work between the two actors. The partnership, though unbroken in friendship, had come to an unspoken end. The story shifted from its cinematic form to the more intimate human experience of remembering lost loved ones. The relationship between Hardy and his friends became visible through his final days, which revealed the strong connections that developed during their time together. Most people would find Stan Laurel's response to this tragedy to be unexpected. His decision to stay away from public mourning events developed into a choice that showed his deep feelings of sadness and respect, which became stronger than regular human emotions. The situation of Hardy's death directly affected Laurel's grieving process, which determined his choice between public events and private times to mourn. The weight of grief can shape how we face loss and make decisions that are deeply personal, often misunderstood from the outside. Grief that goes beyond public eyes. Stan Laurel's absence at Oliver Hardy's funeral was a decision that remained a source of mystery and speculation for decades. To those unfamiliar with the depth of their relationship, it might have seemed puzzling or even cold. But behind that choice was a profound grief so overwhelming that it took a physical toll on Laurel himself. He was, in fact, too ill emotionally and physically to attend the funeral, a testament to the intensity of his loss. The two men's friendship had transcended mere partnership. They were close friends as well as collaborators. Losing Oliver was like losing a part of himself for Stan. The shock and sorrow weighed so heavily that the idea of facing a funeral was unbearable. Many who have experienced deep loss can relate to a grief that manifests not only in emotion, but in the body, making normal rituals impossible. Beyond personal pain, another layer of Laurel's decision was a conscious effort to protect the dignity of the occasion. Known for their media attention and sometimes intrusive public scrutiny, Stan sought to avoid any distraction that his presence or emotional state might cause. By staying away, he ensured the focus remained on commemorating Oliver's life, rather than on himself. This act of quiet respect underscored the depth of their bond. The name Babe served as an affectionate nickname which Laurel used to address Hardy because he believed that Hardy would comprehend his choice. The two people shared a connection which extended beyond their public conduct. Stan believed that Oliver would understand his absence because he was grieving instead of showing negligence or lack of interest. After Hardy died, Stan Laurel chose to live in seclusion, which caused him to stop both his acting work and his public appearances. The letter he wrote after Oliver died showed his deep feelings of disorientation because he lost his best friend, who had been his companion for more than 3 decades. His grief was so deep that he made a vow to stop performing forever because he could not separate his identity from their shared work. The general public did not find out about his personal grief because his fans and the media wanted to understand him through less complex explanations. The way Laurel experienced grief existed as a personal struggle which he could not express through news headlines. He embraced silence as his preferred method of mourning because he opted for inner truth instead of showing himself to others. Every person experiences grief through unique expressions which Stan Laurel showed during his mourning process. Some individuals isolate themselves during their mourning period because they do not want others to observe their emotional pain. His actions demonstrate that people can express their respect and love through various methods which others may find difficult to comprehend. Laurel's deep bond with his brotherhood caused him to mourn because he lost his friend instead of losing his professional partner. Their journey through grief becomes a reminder that sometimes the greatest expressions of love are silent and unseen, carried in the heart long after the cameras stop rolling. Legacy and farewell. The legacy of Laurel and Hardy extends far beyond their timeless films and iconic routines. Their influence on comedy is unquestionable, shaping generations of comedians and filmmakers who drew inspiration from their impeccable timing and heartfelt performances. In 1961, they were honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a durable tribute to their standout contributions. Later that same year, Stan Laurel received an honorary Oscar on behalf of the pair, recognizing not only their achievements, but the enduring quality of their comedy. Despite Oliver Hardy's passing in 1957 and Stan Laurel's withdrawal from performing, their impact remained strong. Stan's decision to no longer perform after losing Oliver highlights how inseparable their partnership was. One half could not imagine comedy without the other. Laurel's retreat from the spotlight was not just about personal grief, but also a mark of respect, a final farewell acknowledging the end of an era. Their collaboration was unique, blending humor with genuine warmth, and it set a standard rarely matched. Though Stan did not attend Hardy's funeral, he found his own way to commemorate their years of friendship and partnership. This personal, private mourning became part of their story's legacy, showing that farewell can be expressed in many ways beyond tradition or expectation. Later statements and letters from Stan reveal a man profoundly marked by loss, but also deeply grateful for the friendship they shared. This nuanced farewell adds emotional depth to their comedy, reminding us of the human story behind the laughter. Fans around the world continue to celebrate Laurel and Hardy's work through retrospectives, festivals, and dedicated screenings. Their films are studied not only for their humor, but for the empathetic ties between the characters they portrayed. This combination of laughter and humanity endures, making their legacy feel as relevant today as it did during their heyday. They showed how comedy can be tender, and their bond off-screen enhances the magic of what they created on camera. The personal bond between Laurel and Hardy goes beyond their movie work because it teaches people about loyalty and respect and the ability to withstand difficult times. The partnership between two people requires them to establish mutual trust, which remains intact during their good and bad times. The story about their life together shows comedians how to build connections which help them create their art and deal with their emotional pain. The way they each showed dedication to one another during their lifetime and after their passing has created a strong bond which immortalizes their existence. Stan Laurel dedicated his last years to living in isolation while he maintained deep affection for his professional partnership. The burden of losing Oliver remained with him throughout his entire life, despite his own health struggles. The conclusion of their story shows how friends remain connected through life changes which all people must face. His retirement from performing marked the end of his career, but it functioned as a major demonstration of his love for Oliver. The public now understands why Stan did not attend Hardy's funeral after many years of speculation. The situation now exists as a deeply personal expression which emerged from his emotional reaction to his lost friend and his bond with the deceased person. Their friendship existed in both private and public spaces because people usually express their deepest feelings during moments when no one else can see them. Both men now exist in our memory because of this discovery, which enables us to see their character. Laurel and Hardy established a lasting legacy, which contains more than comedic achievements because their friendship remained constant throughout their entire professional journey. The audience experiences emotional connection with the story because it presents a combination of humor and authentic human feelings. The film demonstrates how human beings achieve strong bonds with one another while they show their affectionate feelings through various methods. Thank you for joining me to explore why Stan Laurel didn't attend Oliver Hardy's funeral. Their story is a profound reminder of how grief and friendship can shape even the most public of lives. If you found this behind-the-scenes look moving, please like and subscribe for more stories that reveal the heart behind the history.